was like almost like putting a giant piece of adhesive in them. That was a light adhesive. I don't know what I can call it to like attract all these different exposures and bugs and stuff out in the middle of the woods.
I just remember having a conversation about what if would the light from Firefly expose a piece of film or black and white paper. And so it was really just an experiment at first. Yeah, and I was working at a lab, so I was able to run the film soon after we exposed it. And sure enough, I think we did 3 sheets of film first just to test it. And all 3 had images to our surprise, and they're all really kind of beautiful, detailed. You could see their little hind legs.
Yeah, we were really surprised. And I mean, didn't we think that they were going to overexpose? I mean, we thought that the light was going to be so intense that, and you know, they would be moving around so much on the film that it would be overexposed. But it really wasn't. It was just additional exposures that just made it better. The more they were running around on there, the better it got. You know?
Yeah, definitely.
And I guess you can also say, you know, that, you know, the idea of being a kid and going out in your backyard and collecting fireflies, you know, it was kind of, you know, harkening back to a different time and then the magic of that time, you know.
Yeah.
And also, like when we were doing this kind of stuff, it was really hard to photograph them. You know, now with digital cameras, you can photograph these things in super low light, you know, without a long exposure. And back then, the only way you could capture them was to collect them and have them do the exposure. So it was kind of a reverse way of making something that was hard to see, easy to see. So you and I going out in the middle of the woods and capturing fireflies and bringing them back into, I mean, it was a moonless night, and we didn't really have to worry about any kind of too much ambient light or exposure, or if we have access to it, we'll bring it back to a basement or a dark room and just let them do their thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the first 3 that we did, we brought in from, it was like in your backyard, mom's backyard.
Yeah.
We collected them in a box, or no, it was a jar. Air holes. Anyway, and then we brought them into the basement. It was dark enough, we brought the film out and then put them in a separate box, I think, in some cases, with the film in it, so they exposed. So we could still, you know, keep them corralled in there, and they didn't fly away. But yeah, in the process itself, we mostly use transparency film, chrome film, 4x5, some 8x10.
Some 8x10, that's true, yeah. At first, it was just kind of collecting the fireflies, but then we would put them in a cigar box and start putting kind of like pieces of grass and plant matter in there, and it was uncanny because some of the some of the scenarios that we had in there looked like it was actually photographed with a lens camera. And it was kind of uncanny. You could see a foreground and a background, you know, and it was interesting. Did a project where we had a 500-foot roll of mini lab paper, the same stuff you would get your 4x6s at a mini lab, pre-digital, and we unrolled the whole 500-foot roll in like the woods, and kind of like a moonless night, or I think it was right before the moon rose, and I think part of the woods had a swamp in there, and there was like fireflies, and there were like bugs and just critters and stuff like that. And I think the entire roll ended up being kind of this yellow-red exposure with some, you know, critters or fireflies getting on there and etching something on there, some kind of luminous thing or another. But over last summer, we actually unrolled the entire roll in your backyard and just photographed the entire thing for the first time in its entirety.
Yeah, and that was the first time we saw the whole strip in one viewing, because you could only see, because we kind of roll it up. This is 500 feet, and it's kind of this unwieldy roll of paper. Yeah, and then when we kind of investigated it again, like unrolled it, it was also led into the woods, and it's kind of nice to see it in the environment. We did make some new firefly images this past summer, which
and I did post them.
Yeah.
And Scott and I'm sure we'll get together this summer, hint, and do some more.
Yeah, definitely.